So I want to talk about a concept I call touch sensitivity with both the left hand and the right hand when playing guitar. You want to have a very subtle sense of touch when you're playing the instrument, and you have to develop that more and more as you get more advanced. But even the beginner has to deal with this. And if you've ever played like a regular A7 chord, an open string A7, it's 5 strings and you're only pressing 2 of them. And if you've ever accidentally muted a string by letting your hand get a little sloppy and it's laying down a little too much, and you might not even be aware that one of the strings isn't ringing, but you always want to be aware. You want to double check each note of the chord and make sure they're ringing like a bell. So if the string I'm most concerned with is the 3rd string, because it's really easy to choke that string, or maybe it's halfway ringing and kind of sounds like a sitar. Not that that's terrible, but a regular guitar should sound like a guitar, and a sitar sounds like a sitar. But if I just move my hand, like right now, I'm not touching the 3rd string, and it's ringing really well. But if I relax my hand just that much, which probably doesn't even look like I'm moving it at all, I can feel that my finger is touching the string. And that's touch sensitivity. You want to be able to feel if it is touching the string and when it's not touching the string. So a good way to practice this is to see if you can get that string ringing with these fingers fingered, and then purposely touch it to mute it, and then purposely move it away from the string by moving your hand down and up just slightly, ever so slightly. And now I'm not touching the open string, now I'm touching it. And you can do that on purpose and get a sense of feeling the string on the side of your finger when you're touching it, and not feeling the string when you're not touching it. So that's with just a simple A7 chord. With the right hand, you want to get a sense of, I always teach students to choke up on the pick for playing single notes to where the thumb crosses the pick, and that wedge that's right in front, you want the thumb to kind of rub the top of the string. And that gives you a sense of touch and reference. And also the other fingers that are just kind of fanned out, you can let them brush the top of the guitar, and that'll give you another sense of reference, but just very lightly. And you don't want to fix them like they're glued to the guitar. You want to be able to move, like if my hand goes away from the strings, my fingers, they're not holding on to the guitar, they're moving away from it. So if I start on the 1st string, my fingers now, they might make a little knocking noise. I've got nails. So as I move to the 2nd, 3rd, my fingers are still touching the top of the guitar. But when I get to about the 4th string, my fingers start touching the 1st string, and I can feel the 1st string while I'm playing the 4th string, and then the 5th string and 6th string, and they might move over to the 2nd string, or to where they're just sort of on top of the treble strings. So that's another touch sensitivity thing for a point of reference when you're using a pick. And then with the left hand again, and this is a basic thing that beginners, kind of after you've been playing a couple of months or a few months, you start playing these root 5th chords. We call them power chords in rock, power, and they're really just a root and a 5th. You only want to hear 2 strings. You're only pressing 2, but you want your 1st finger to lightly touch and mute all the other strings. Not that you want to hit all 6, but you just don't want to have to worry about it. With your pick, you just kind of indiscriminately strum if I move that chord across the street to where I'm pressing the 5th and the 4th string, then the muting becomes a little bit more complicated. I'm muting the first 3 with the side of my first finger, and the tip of my first finger is touching against the side of the 6th string, so that you don't hear the 6th string open, because when you're strumming really hard, it's really hard not to hit the 6th string, you know. Now, if I wasn't muting the 6th string, this is what it would sound like. It's muddy, it's ugly, and it's a wrong note. It's a note you don't want to hear. So you want to always touch when you're playing and distinguish. Your hand learns whether it's on a 5th string chord or a 6th string chord. On a 6th string chord, you don't have to worry about the tip of the finger touching another string. But on the 5th string, you want to be able to touch, and you want to be able to go quickly from a 6th string to a 5th string chord. And always mute that 6th string when you're playing a 5th string chord. That it takes a lot of practice, and you want to be very deliberate about your practice. Double check that you're always muting the 6th string. When you move, it's real easy for the first finger to move away from it, so you got to watch that. You know? Okay, so that's a little bit about touch sensitivity. There's many more aspects of that, but it's kind of a subtle thing with your fingers touching the strings, either on purpose or deliberately not touching certain strings to make sure that they ring out really well. Thank you.